he's going to search this top nicely and just evaporated.
Oh, Kissay! Welcome back to my humble abode here on the couches of the LCO, delivered by Menulog. We've got one big game remaining today, and it's two heavy hitters looking for a top 5 position. Kanga, pretty much do or die at the moment, but Direwolves have been popping off as well, so who knows which way today's game is going to go. But we're here to discuss that. Now, I think we should talk Kanga first. So, yesterday, very large performance from them, and especially with that new recruit, Benvi, down in the bottom lane. So, Skimmy, tell me if they can do it again today up against Direwolves.
It's very possible. It is very possible. I think it's a lot of this is going to come down to the mid lane matchup as to how Fido and just the team in general in the drafting phase handle the approach towards Seaman, because that was that one game where he played the Orianna and a completely different kettle of fish, right? So I'm really hoping that they can find that way to outplay, because Fido on a good day is an absolute weapon. You just cannot control him. And Ben V, has really looked in place. So I'm curious to see what other champions he can play. I mean, it always gets me when Liv does that, absolutely. But yeah, I'm curious to see what Ben V brings to the table. Right? Apart from the shot calling, apart from the Yuumi game, will he draft some crazy champions like a Bard or some hard engage?
Liv just has the moves, doesn't he? Now, Direwolves, they got some moves too. I'm sure Bulldog, I'd love to see what he has on the dance floor, because he talks a big talk, but can he walk a big walk? Well, in the Rift, Rusty, he at least does.
Certainly can. I mean, Bulldog and the rest of Direwolves have shown a very, I want to say, impressive performance the past few weeks. They've looked good all split, but the biggest thing for them is that they've discovered their identity and they've doubled down. They've said, we are going to be skirmishing through mid-jungle and we are team fighting with Dante. Zoranus is the caller once it comes to late game, and he's starting to group up more and more. That's it. That's their identity, and they've said, we will perfect it, right? They've got their Shaco, they've got their pocket picks as well. Kaiser for Dante on your screen, but when all said and done, the style doesn't change. It's how they play it.
And of course, Seaman as well. Yesterday, this man got allowed on the Akali yet again, and it was exactly why you don't let him touch that damn thing, because it was just dangerous.
It's so dangerous, yeah. I mean, Seaman on his day will just double digits every single time and just completely run the ship. But the big thing for me is the narrative behind Direwolves, right? Because when the season started, we're thinking, okay, strength of schedule, they've got really easy games into very hard games. Second round robin came around, you're thinking, it's eventually going to run out of steam, right? But they're still in second place. We're well deep in now to the third round robin, and they've never ever dropped in the standings lower than third, which I think is a huge credit, right? So we've always said this up and R about how good are they, but to still be there, 8 weeks in? Pretty impressive.
This was when we got to see Fido just carrying on the Cass again, which we saw a bit from him yesterday, but also when Tiengsi was here, and we had that Cho Sup. So objective control was just the name of the game. They had so much damage on those, and it was a win, which means this is that 1-to-1 head-to-head, and not only a must-win in the terms of Kanga needing Ws to start to climb up the leaderboard, but if they can get this head-to-head to Direwolves, and Direwolves let off the accelerator going towards playoffs, if they get tied up, Kanga have that jump up the leaderboard.
And keep in mind that Peace lost today, right? So if Kanga win this match, not only do they have head-to-head against Direwolves, they have head-to-head against Peace, who they beat yesterday. They actually are now ahead of them in standings, and this will put Kanga in 5th for the remaining 4 games of the league, and now Peace are the ones that have to catch up. And not having that head-to-head means they need to be in a whole win ahead in the standings. So this is a really important match for Kanga, as the rest of the week does involve really good opponents like Chiefs and Order.
That's so dangerous. That's so dangerous. This strength of schedule is a huge conversation that we need to keep having. But at the same time, in this match, what lanes are we looking at as the winning lane for both these teams?
Mid lane.
Yeah.
Surely, because we have Seaman, who was an aggressive assassin player. We see him on the Sylas, the Akali, while on the side of Kanga, we have Fighter, who leans towards those late game scaling champions. So they have a polar opposite in terms of playstyle. We have seen Seaman pull out the Orianna for that last head-to-head, but obviously they lost on it because it didn't suit Dials' team identity. So I'm pretty sure that they might just stick to their guns and just pull out what they're best at.
Well, let's bring up the head-to-head for this mid lane and have a quick look at the stats as well as the most played champs. And it's pretty much completely polar opposites, Both these players have their own identities in terms of the champs they like to play. Why's that, Skimmy?
I mean, it's just right to your point that Kitty also mentioned as well, right? The fact that you are one heavily relying on scaling. Azir, Veigar, Cassiopeia, you don't even need any further conversation around that one, where Seaman is all about pick potential, all about dueling potential, 1v1. You look at an Akali, a Sylas, as well as the Ahri, they're all going to be designed to do that, right? Facilitate for the team, but also just going into a team fight around an objective like a Baron and say it's a 4v5 straight away. So you can see that Fido has a huge amount of damage to those objectives, but I think that the champions he's played has allowed him to be that much more of a menace in that sort of formation.
So it's more like Seaman's like the team fighty guy, the one that wants to get those assists, deal an extra bit of damage to players, whereas you're looking at Fido, and he seems to be there for the objectives more so.
Well, to be fair, they both play for team fights quite a lot, but I think their style is different. So Suman looks for those specific picks to make it a 4v5, like Skimmy said. Fido likes to play 5v5 head-on with Azir, and I believe it was Veigar, where the enemy has to walk into you. That really suits his playstyle. We did see the Cassio playing very aggressive last night, actually. He had flashed in and stuff, so that's quite different, but it's nice to see that he is versatile in that.
Well, someone else that's pretty damn versatile up towards that top lane is my boy Lived, and we got him on the line. Lived, how you feeling going into today's must-win game?
Yeah, it is a bit of a nerve-wracking one. This is a very important game to win, so hopefully we can pull it out of the bag.
Best of luck, because Peace, I believe, lost their game earlier, so you guys are currently tied and up against Dials. What do you think of their team, and what do you think is going to be the win con for you guys tonight?
Honestly, yeah, I do think I agree with you that mid lane is a big deciding factor of this game, but also think bot lane as well is a very, very important part of this team. I think both sides of both teams, should I say, have a very, very strong bot lane. I think also Zoranus has honestly improved a lot. I think he's actually a very strong top lane. I think a lot of people underestimate him, so yeah, I'm very impressed by Zoranus.
He's been doing that calling as well. What's your opinion on having that top laner doing the calling for more so the team fights in the late game? Have you ever been in that position, or do you just sort of have everyone else, picking up the communication side of things?
Depends honestly what I'm playing. I think usually if I'm playing something that actively influences the team fighting and how we want to play around the game, then I will call a lot more. But if it's something where I'm just like AFK, then not so much.
And we do have the introduction of Benvi, where he said he does make up for that lack of communication. So what's the team dynamic like now with him joining the team?
Yeah, I think it's actually improved a lot. I also think he is an anime enjoyer of sorts. So our team bonding has improved in him.
Yes.
Exactly. The team bonding is immense now. So that's a main factor, I think, for us winning recently.
The chemistry, it must just be through the damn roof at the moment. Now, what are you feeling like in terms of the jungle? Because you got Poltron on the other side of things. You guys have had a lot of success recently with Foreigner. Do you sort of rate Foreigner as like the better jungler in this matchup? And do you think he plays more for himself or for the team? Because from what we've seen, Poltron, he's got those weird picks in his back pocket, but he'll also just be an absolute nuisance no matter what he picks.
Yeah, Foreigner's kind of just like annoying, to be honest. There's some annoying champions to play. Definitely the Shaco is not a fun one to verse. I think Foreigner definitely is a better jungler though. I think he just provides a lot more to the team environment.
Foreigner has been providing a lot for the team in general, and best of luck in your match, Lived, and hopefully we see you on the other side.
Awesome, thank you very much.
I think he meant Poltron's actually really annoying. When he said Foreigner, I was like, okay,
like,
where's this one going?
Okay, it's getting spicy.
It's so annoying.
So annoying.
Kind of like, is that what you feel like when we play together? Just
I feel that universally playing League, and it's not even my jungler's fault. It's just a way of life.
Very true. I'm just fishing for, a little couple of jabs in there. Either way, Def and Vote time. Get the switch points in. Because this game, again, I feel like it could be 50-50. It depends on who's playing better on the day. It's one of those games, right, where it's definitely going to boil down to the draft. And I think we're pretty split in our predictions as well. So let's bring those up and see where we have gone. Me and Rusty on the Kanga train.
And you and Rusty are just on the same wavelength.
Yeah, well, that was the same split in the auto game earlier.
Yeah, it was, which we were wrong in, I believe.
I'm thinking we can maybe get it back right here.
I think it's a very real possibility that either team wins this one. I think the draft is going to be a very, very large factor in it.
Factual.
I'd love to get... I've got like 2 of my predictions wrong today, so I need this one to go 2 for 2. I'm really feeling it. Either way, I've really enjoyed what we've seen from Kanga, and again, I'm just believing in that storyline. The run to playoffs.
Mate, you're on Team Bard right now. We're
Bard?
banking on the Ben v Bard.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You reckon that's it?
He's
You
a
reckon
Bard
that-
player.
Yeah?
That explains why Kitty's not on the Bard
Yeah,
team. That's
yeah.
why we're in
Bulldog is
Yeah.
the
Oh,
first one
Team
to
Bulldog
play
Yumi
Bard
players.
in LCO.
You exposed yourself
so-
earlier, Kitty. You can't just
Actually,
do
it's a
that.
banger matchup. They're both
I don't
Bard
have
players.
anything against Bard
Yeah.
players personally. It's a fact. So I went with Dials tonight because I think Suman does have what it takes to shut down Fido early game, where they aren't able to get that foundation going for them and just completely stomp them.
What are we expecting Fido to go for? Is it an Azir angle up against the Direwolves comp there? Or do you think he's going to go for something a little bit more scaly and explosive?
You know, Veigar actually counters a lot of Suman's champions,
Yeah.
so I'm actually kind of worried that I went with Dials.
That and Lissandra. Like, I feel like Fido has champions that can handle really nicely what Human wants to play, even Cassiopeia, if you're going to play your Aries, etc., to lock him down. So, yeah, this is why, like, drafting was really difficult for this game, because in my mind, it is so down to the champions that get locked in.
For sure.
Guess what?
What?
It is time for my 5 gun, but also time for Champ Select. Final game of the day. Let's jump on into the action.
Final game of week 8. Big game. Big game here to see what could take place. And I'm so glad to see these other bans, right? From the Kanga side, I would have thought ban away the Silas, right? Don't allow them to steal any of those
Gwen.
really good ultimates. A Kali 2 and a Gwen, which we know that Zoranus has a big affinity towards.
Everything's up. Really, everything is up. Direwolves have also banned away the Cassiopeia, so there's only 2 specific, like, more meta bans to be seen so far in the Zeri and the Senna. I mean, it makes sense that you go for the Gnar first pick. Aphelios Renata is an easy response, but so is the Poppy, because that hasn't been picked or banned so far. Renata Poppy as a duo is also exceptional for disengage comps if your opponents
It
are
is,
coming
yeah.
towards you. And the expected answer to a Poppy now that, you know, Wukong is up and available, the Xin Zhao you saw is up and available. There's a lot of forward-moving League of Legends to be picked on the other side. Shaco not going to be banned, but is going to be hovered. Of course, I think there's too many OP junglers up to even consider the Shaco.
Paying homage there to Poltron, having played. He doesn't look too happy about that Trundle whatsoever. The Azir's going to come out as well, and we are just going to be playing from a distance.
Yeah, so gets rid of the dashing champions. It's just going to be a low mobility Trundle jungle, but also makes Poppy's Nightmare a living hell. It makes Poppy's Nightmare a living hell.
I know what you meant.
Yeah, that's
I was with
crazy.
you.
I doubled down on
I've
how bad
subscribed.
it is for Poppy. It's not the best matchup for Poppy. Trundle can handle you pretty nicely. In saying that, the pillar is also a free opportunity to use your E on someone and charge them into it, but Aphelios to be followed here by Direwolves. Their composition so far very standard. The Azir was brought up just prior by Mac. It will be locked in.
Oh, one of our other very proficient Draven players in the region, Lemus, will have that one denied away, and then another champion taken away. So 3 of those champions that Seaman is ever so proficient at have been denied. And it begs the question now for me, Rusty, whether or not we will have to see something new from him.
I mean, that is the question. And first of all, does Human have new things? Because I do think that he can play Lissandra. But in that matchup, Azir's perfectly fine. Lissandra wants to play in the minion wave to be able to throw Qs, right? And then Azir, by design, doesn't need to stand in the minion wave, but can place his soldiers that hit you while you have to. So Azir often gets push. Yone going to be taken away here as well. I'm sure that is flexible between both Zoranus and Human if it were locked in, and Direwolves with that 4th pick could have been looking for something flexible.
Certainly would fit the bill and feel like a champion in a wheelhouse that they'd be fairly capable at utilizing when called upon.
What do you play? What does Human play here? I still think it's probably Lissandra. But I guess Lilia top opens up an assassin mid lane.
It does, yeah.
Keep in mind at all times here that Human is one of the best Zed players that hasn't played it. But it's always possible. It is always just there on the cusp. But I think the fact that you've gone for a Lilia top means an AD mid laner is certainly possible.
What do you think about this, though? We've only seen 1 game of Misfortune, all split long. A second time paired with the Lulu. Just a lot of stand and deliver damage, and the Zed is being hovered. We want the AD assassin. It would fit the bill. It would be Seaman to an absolute T. Does he go for it?
I mean, their comp does present this as, I guess, something that could work. Yasuo is the more standard version, but there's no knockups to complement the composition. It isn't going to be locked in, though it has been hovered and definitely considered. They are instead going to go for a much more low damage the whole top side of the map here from Direwolves, very magic heavy. Very magic heavy. And not a lot of DPS to come from the Seraphine and from the Poppy. To be perfectly honest, and this is just a vibe read from Direwolves comp, I don't like it. I think this is too reliant on their bot lane being ahead.
Yeah.
And Misfortune and Lulu are so good at nullifying your lane by simply existing with the Make It Rain, having the ultimate to instantly clear waves if you're threatening the dive. There's setup time required by Direwolves for those dives as well, right? The Lilia that has to throw the slow duration that the sleep will come out. Poppy that wants to actually charge the ultimate. Seraphine that actually has to charge up the crescendo as well, the ult rather from her. Same thing with Aphelios. Like, there is no instant go button for Direwolves at all.
And that's what I'm seeing, right? The Lilia, the Seraphine, and the Renata, triple AoE CC ultimates, which allow a Moonlight Vigil to certainly be the star of the show, but there is that wind-up time. There is that concern that the ease of execution certainly favors Kanga.
Yeah, and I think Kanga just kind of... I think they have a very good draft. I mean, Lulu MF is just strong. It will just survive. It will have a fantastic time, right? It just gets to do its thing. Scale into the game, look for team fights, and that is the only point of concern for both teams, really, right? They are going to be probably having 5v5s. The question is, how does it play out? Azir can be flexible, Gnar can be flexible in how they're going to play, but if it happens near a pit, if it's near a Baron or a Drake, there is very dangerous ults on the Direwolf side to contend with. The scaling, I do think, is really nice here with this Azir in mid lane. They have lots of options, Kanga. I'm a big fan of their comp.
Well, let's see if those options prove to be the deal distance that takes them through to a huge, huge win. They would get head-to-head over the Direwolves, and with head-to-head already over Peace, would put them in a very comfortable position with only 4 games remaining after tonight's bout. Loading into this one, you can see from the fan view, they believe that Direwolves are heavy favorites coming into this one. It feels, I would say, fairly 50-50. Very much more a draft-dependent victory, but coming into this one, they'll also be hoping that they can really find those ideal setups and can really start with a snowballing lead from Dante.
Yeah, so first and foremost here, no jungler is going crazy with aggressive champion choices. There's no Jarvans and no Xin Zhaos. Poltron on this Poppy can be very successful with ganks, can abuse the Hex Flash, and also has the Phase Rush to lock you down after the first wall stun combo with a Q. Foreigner, however, press the attack, very much a duelist's choice here in the jungle role. If you ever meet him 1-to-1, he's probably going to win that one. A couple of really important points here, right? Zorinus is a movement speed-based champion. Really wants to get around and kite you. Lived can actually run quite fast with the Hyper Procs, and Foreigner with the Pillar can also slow you down greatly. So they definitely still have angles to get on top of Zorinus with his second back-to-back game on the Lilia. Looking at these bottom laners here. A little bit of cheeky damage, maybe proc the Guardian. A good way to start the lane off.
Certainly is. It's the Comet build here. Imagining we are going to get a Emax from the Misfortune, a champion which, once again, was ever so present during that MSI meta and very annoying to deal with in lane. Just sort of sits from afar at a very comfortable range, making it very hard to trade back and even out any out of moments as you're seeing right here.
Yeah, Misfortune's frustrating. So is Lulu with Q. Both having E and Q at level 1 means that they just get to try and keep you at bay. Dante's done what he can to get the fleet footwork procs and stay in the lane, but Bulldog doesn't provide too much in this lane either because he's dealing with 2 ranged champions. You can see it is annoying. It is extremely annoying, especially that Comet build. 2 Comets on the side of Kanga as well. Fido having the second one in mid lane. Usually an indicator of something like the Luden's build, where you just want to do as much damage as you can with those Q auto procs. Not so much the massive amounts of sustained damage, and not going like an Airy, which could just be more harassed or poke over time. A bit more lane strength with the Comet.
Speaking of item builds, I'm actually really excited to see just how strong Lived and Foreigner will be in tandem, right? Trinity Force for Nard, the Divine Sunder for Foreigner. Those two together, if they get that item spike online quickly with the Sheen, they'll pack a punch. It should be very free for them to claim first Drakes uncontested, be it the Herald as well.
I mean, objectives is going to be a big point to look for. How we get to those objectives, to me, is the biggest deal here, right? Our junglers are just going to clear most of their camps through. Both aren't massive on needing to do the Krugs unless it's just a quick Krug camp before reset on their first clears. But this is also an opportunity to play towards lanes. In saying that, looking at the way these waves are set up, Lived with low health is the definite place to look towards. Zorinus has started to run himself a little bit out of mana. And I like the idea from Liv there as well. Perhaps can get the reset off. Gets Mega as the wave is going to crash here. So if he times this correctly, that Q could be bad for him.
Well, here we go. Looking for that first dive. Headbutt into the wall. A TP comes out, but I think it's too little, too late. They're just going to walk away from this one. You can flash across the wall if you feel threatened by Fido, but he can literally just stroll on out for free.
Yeah, Liv just took too much damage, right? Had the flash, ticked Mega. Things were going okay for him, but he was always at risk of being dove. And you could tell that they were aware that he could get dove because the teleport from Fido was near instant. But unfortunately, it was that last Q that came out of Zorinus that just chunks him way too low. Bot fighting Ignite
Yeah, it's a fight.
happens.
Dante could be dead here. Oh, the bounce
the
has got
double
across.
up.
A flash auto, and that's all it took. I believe that was just the shield. Easy as you like it. And Ben V finds love in the bot lane.
Yeah, Benvi flashing forwards with the flash E there on the Lulu. Confirms the kill. Nice double up, though, from Limas to make sure that does happen. Bulldog is overstaying to try and help contest this Gromp. They had vision on Foreigner being here, but the pillar says no. And Bulldog is still overstaying his welcome. Luckily for him, of course, the bot lane of Kanga got the full crash in and the reset timings will be fairly similar. Does mean that there's going to be a little bit more of an opportunity for Benvi on the map, however, to play some aggressive wards if you wanted to go from mid to bottom instead. Liv just copping a beating. I despise Lilia top.
I certainly I can understand why, but I enjoy it much the same as I
mean,
enjoy
here
it,
you go.
Timo. You just
Well-
cause your opponents so many headaches. You just run them down because you've got so much movement speed. Every single time you land one of these skills, you've now got the Conquest stacked up, and Liv can do literally nothing but walk and watch his health bar deplete. Lucky that the Q cooldown wasn't there. That's a flash as the Emperor's Divide locks in place Seaman. A roaming Lulu pops his head into mid as well. It's not enough to remove Seaman just yet.
No, but it is the level advantage in mid that results in the flash having to come out of Suman. So, I mean, if Benvi has Ignite because they don't have the kill bottom, he has potential kill threat in mid instead. And, I mean, realistically, we just complement the plays of Kanga as a whole. The support roaming nicely. Lived is really the only person who is suffering, and it is not in silence. It is very much known. Oh, nice
Great
pillar.
huge pillar, and a great flash as well. Lived. He's not got it. He's got the ranged auto attack, but it's already been consumed. And Foreigner,
Zorinus, no mana.
it's going to be a second target. But as you say, Foreigner is going to get copped against the wall, but just chomps. But somehow, the reverberation is the one that picks up the kill.
Yeah, Poltron actually getting the kill. Phyto moving up towards top. Has no ult. Zorinus has no movement speed, though. He's just used all of his abilities to try and crash the wave in.
It's a freebie for Fido. He's got the flash as well. He's got the sand. Okay.
Has no ult.
Yeah, well, I thought the Streamer Shuffle would have been enough distance for him just to walk him down. Zorinus very lucky.
Yeah, just a little bit too quick. I mean, Zorinus still had flash. Just a bit fast. Boots 2 being completed, obviously a large factor. Lilia does move incredibly quickly without the boots in the first place. But lots of pressure being placed down still by Fido. He'll be feeling hard done by, putting in all of this work towards side lanes, getting no rewards, just trying to keep his team in it. Kudos to Foreigner, though, above all else, to make sure that that was a one-for-one trade, as Lived has been having an absolute nightmare of a time. Trust the Teemo top player to bring out the Lilia. Without a doubt, just enjoys moving fast and making his top laners hate themselves. But Lived will persevere. He's a Titan.
That would be the difference right, though, in this game. The fact that top lane is winning for direwolves, but bot lane just continues to be just this annoying that you can just be completely zoned away by the Lulu. Another pillar goes out. Suman in trouble. The Emperor's Divide is there, and a flash forward will guarantee it that the Encore literally does nothing. It looks cool, but that's about it.
Yeah, uses the ultimate, but gets pushed away. Bot lane once again.
Bullet time goes out, and they try to get the execution.
Poltron in.
Poltron's here. He's got vision. He can go for the head, but on towards the Lulu. Stunned against the wall. And finally, the bot lane of Direwolves get a rare reprieve.
It is so rough for the Direwolves 2v2. Poltron really being the difference maker in this game. He helps top win harder. He comes bottom to make sure the play connects. Poltron is just looking at Limas. Going to Hex Slash him into
Hex
the wall.
Slash the angle. It's good. The handshake as well. And the Moonlight Vigil just flashed away from that. Was very dicey for a second.
I mean, I will be the first to say that was a very suspect positioning from Limas. What are you up to? Stay under your turret. Just trying to... It feels like he was maybe trying to stay in experience range.
Yeah.
But ultimately that's greedy, and greed gets punished. Poltron sticks around and uses the Hex Flash quite nicely. So again, the difference maker in jungle right now. Foreigner trying to do what he can, but Poltron still finding angles left, right, and center.
Yeah, did the numbers, bit of Pythagoras theorem, worked out the angles, and said, I'm jumping in, we're going to get that kill. We'll get double summoners instead, and that should make life a little bit easier, even if there isn't going to be a straight 2v2. An invitation for those junglers to pop their head into bot lane once again. Objectives on the cards. Both up and available, actually.
Bulldog actually going to help Human push in mid lane. We have to raise and challenge Human first and foremost for playing the Seraphine, because we don't really get to talk about this often, but that's not his playstyle. Last time we saw Direwolves mid laner pick something that wasn't really a skirmish mid laner was an Orianna. That was certainly one hell of a game.
Flanking shockwaves.
Yeah, the flanking shockwaves coming out of the Orianna. I don't know if we'll get the same thing again from him, but the core point here and concern that you would raise if you're a Direwolves fan is, as an identity, Human is an assassin player. And so when he changes champions, he doesn't really change his identity. And it means that he does leave himself open to being picked off to occasional risks, thinking perhaps he has mobility when he doesn't, thinking perhaps he can flank when he has no right doing so. It's definitely something that has to be addressed. So just keep your eyes peeled for what he does during this game as it pans out. If he plays well, it's not an issue, right? And we celebrate it, but it's a fair cause for concern. Yeah,
and it's a big reason why I asked Alexis yesterday, actually, about sort of his champion pool as a whole, as to, you know, what else will we get to see, and will it really come out during that regular season as opposed to being held off until playoffs, when those games will certainly be just a little bit more dicey. Instant flash across the wall. He's not found the angle this time, but that's an instant knockup, and Moonlight Vigil is agonizingly close, just out of range. But just a swarm of numbers mean that Direwolves will get that kill.
Yeah, that's actually a really long-form play from Direwolves that was about having vision control first. Poltron most likely going to get pushed out of the jungle here as Benvi shows up to deter anything. Teleports are going to come through. Ultimate was actually used by Foreigner Skinny, but really it's...
Oh!
Okay.
Yeah.
Zonus just winning top lane a little bit more.
So Subjugate was burnt. Azir TP came in. Nothing was found, and then Zoran says, just keep doing what you're doing. I'm smashing top lane.
Yeah, top is being ruined. Has shown a lot of success for Direwolves so far. A little cheeky plate to be found in mid lane as well. At what cost? Seems like it is just going to be able to be walked away here by Suman. And the big play that I want to highlight from all of that, it was a control ward in Kanga's Tribush bot lane. Because that gives them so much information, actually allows that play to happen. The creativity of Poltron. Keep in mind, this guy is a Shaco player that's now just got Hex Flash, may as well be Shaco, right? Like, he knows the angles, has the creativity in his mind, and has twice in a row now found Limas in unexpected positions from the AD of Kanga, or positions where perhaps he shouldn't be. Either way, we'll see what happens here, because Liv jumps forwards into a minion wave.
Oh no.
Liv is certainly asking for trouble with that hop forwards, isn't he?
Yeah, big minion wave as well, just copping it all at once.
Really asking for it. I think maybe wanted to hop as Mega? I don't know.
Either way, Rusty. He's tried to make a play. It's not paid off. And the lead right now is double to CS, really. It's very much becoming that way. Feels like every single time I've looked at bot lane, it really has just been Limas versus the world. He's able to pretty much zone them afar with just that make it rain, and Benvi's just permanently roaming with Fido.
They have full knowledge of where the vision's being placed by Kanga here as well. They see Limas with a control ward. Look at the control wards on the top side of the map as well, protecting Zoran as he teleports into top, wants to continue to win more, win harder. It seems to be confident enough that even under a turret, he's going to be able to harass and just pick apart the health bar of Liv, who is living a nightmare presently. Control wards to the right and above him means that he's just never safe. Means that it's not even safe for Kanga to face check because they know they lose the 2v2.
Yeah.
Foreigner has to stay bottom. And speaking of,
here he is. He's got the Divine Thunder. He's very strong. Poltron going to cop a beating there as he was mid-process summoning that Herald, which is not really going to find the charge it's after.
It will be confirmed. Not going to find the charge that it was after. Dials just try and summon quickly. Meanwhile, top lane, 2 levels ahead, Skimmy.
Level 2 charge of that ultimate now, which is up and available with Leandries. I mean, at this point, the turret's going to fall down naturally. Really are running away with it.
And the risk is what happens when Lilia gets active on the map, right? You're like 2 minutes away from having your flashback up. Zoranus probably comes towards maybe the next Herald fight and just rips and tears. Things get real dicey for Kanga if Zoranus gets involved in these skirmishes. And they have a teamfight comp that works around objectives like we highlighted, right? Yep. They've got big, impactful AoEs, the Seraphine, the Renata. Even Lilia with the flash Q, certain weapons from Dante can be huge AoE DPS. Walking into them when they're hitting these objectives is devastatingly difficult.
And it's really mitigated that true mid-game spike that I was anticipating, right, between Foreigner and Liv with those Sheen items. You know, Liv is still so far away. He's just been so resource-starved, and whilst Foreigner's done a phenomenal job, he certainly can't link up as cleanly as he would have liked. Would be far more reliant now on his mid laner instead. Speaking of, that is them both on our screens right now. But they are just going to be farming up a treat, and both actually have the most farm in the game.
And the question, I guess, is where do Kanga go? Like, what is it that they really want to win more around? And I think it's opening up bottom lane in its entirety. You could play around the Herald, could play around the Drake. Lived is going to be at risk. He's going to be spotted here, though. Poltron on that ward. I think you just want to bring Foreigner bottom, right? Try and find an opportunity where Fido can go with you, try and four-man the bot tower, and just take Dante and Bulldog out of the game. Hard to dive if you keep in mind that it is a Renata who can deal so well with dives, but look at the damage they get to put down in just the 2v2. Like, I'm surprised that Foreigner reset towards topside instead of just going straight through lane bottom to take this turret.
It's almost like cut your losses at this stage. The Nar's not done well, but let's just snowball this lead in the bot lane because it is working gloriously. Make it rain for the slow. The bullet time afterwards. Once again, I'm just saying, you know, this Lemus Misfortune pick is just putting in work.
The full lethality MF build as well. One of the few champions that you might still see building lethality. Where a lot of the other ones are now either being phased out by patch changes or just building crit instead. Zeri has to go crit's not going to be a bruiser. Asher's building AP, because why not?
Zaya once upon a time, but no more.
Yeah. If you do see a Zaya, it's probably going to be crit.
You might go crit MF if you're Puma, but other than that, everybody else in the world says lethality is the play.
Yeah, Puma really was the one unique case. I mean, there's definitely worlds where you go the crit build on MF full stop, but you really want to have high ultimate DPS, and lethality is the way to go to ensure that one. Especially around these skirmishes on objectives, around these team fights. You can see how much damage he does. Not really a pure tank on the side of Direwolves either. Poltron, who's meant to be frontlining, is going to be a bruiser. Zoranus, who's going to be in the front lines, is also a bruiser with health stack, so lethality does plenty of damage to him. And Suman's just going to be healing and shielding, and you can get through that pretty easily.
And Poltron does want to be a bit of a tank, rather a bruiser this game, right? He's gone for the Divine Sunder as well compared to the Chem tanks that we saw all of yesterday. Chem tank into the Chainsword as well. Cheap item spike. You've got so much movement speed just to roam around the map and almost act like a cheeky predator volley bear in a way.
Lima's really needing the base here. I'm expecting Fido to walk mid to help cover that wave. Is actually going to go towards the Krugs first, though. Zoranus is just starting to take more and more of the map. The Gromp belongs to him. The waves always belong to him. Dante has been absolutely annihilated. That might afford Limas a base. That was really close to a kill.
Nearly 100 zeroed.
And still Kanga trying so hard to protect Liv, to protect their top side of the map. No Herald to be played for. Drake is the next objective that is up. And instead of clearing bot side vision, they put effort towards helping top. It seems sure signs on, we don't want you to continue winning. We think that we can just scale into team fights fine if we stop you and slow you from now on.
And there's the proof of it, Rusty. I mean, look, Lived is below his jungler at this point in the game. No surprise that Zoranus is well ahead. A full 1,000 gold lead over Fido, who's the most fed for Kanga right now. But yeah, it does make you question the strategy. 20 minutes in?
I mean, absolutely, Fido. Scaling up into this game is going to be a monster. He's going to be a nightmare to deal with. Lilia is one of those champions where I feel like she can be game-winning, but in terms of AP scaling, there's almost zero. That's why more often than not you'll see a Leandri's, you'll see a Demonic Embrace, you'll see a Rylai's if you wanted to afterwards, but things that give health that are bruiser AP items, because your AP scaling is quite rough. Herald Charge seems like it's going to go off here.
Yeah, Poltra not in the area to knock that one away.
Zoranus here though, Skimmy. We're going to get a 5v5. Lived hasn't stacked the Narbar at all. One big MF ultimate could wipe Dials off the face of the earth. But the question is, how do Dials get into the river if Kanga have control?
Lemus' ult is now up and available. He just needs to
Okay.
position for it. There's the hostile takeover to force themselves into the river. They're primed and ready for this one. Everybody's going to get hit by the damage, but thankfully for them, it wasn't enough to find that kill. The knockback was good in theory. Only removed Lived.
Still starting to chunk them out. A Foreigner
He's on. He's at the
pressing forward.
subjugate.
Lived his Mega.
On to Zoranus. Oh, Liv jumps in. He's missed the Gnar. He's missed the knockback away.
Seraphine
Out
ult.
goes the encore. There's the dot. Zoranus is looking for the kill, but Fono receives the wild growth. Everybody burning cooldowns. That's a massive Emperor's Divide. Fono finds a moment where he's just had enough. He says, let's win this team fight. And boy, did they just do that.
It seems like Kanga always had control, but it was Fido's turn in the limelight. He gets to shine. It hits a 3-man Emperor's Divide. Should confirm them. The Drake here also. Huge team fight that was really minutes in the making, and so was the duration of it. Small details could have made it a catastrophic failure for Direwolves, but they managed to weather it and at least persevere with some lives intact, including a bounty on their Poppy. But a massive moment for Kanga to really rocket themselves back into an advantageous position. Bulldog, I mean, that's left wanting. It's just going to dissipate. Big MF ult. Poppy ult knocks away Liv, so removes the Mega Nut angle. But they don't really respond with anything themselves. Direwolves, I feel like they're trying to win the war of attrition. But Liv, one extra auto attack before he jumps in there. It's a different story. Probably pulls them all back. Lilia finally hits the ult. So does the Aphelios and so does the Seraphine, but they have no damage as the Lulu just stops that from existing. And Fido sees his angle, hits them all. Poltron says, that looks like fun. I'm going to go in with you. So looked like a 4-man, but it was just a 3. And Kanga, like you can see even in the replay, they were always winning. There was just that one moment, that 1 second of like maybe Direwolves, but no damage.
That was a concern raised in the drafting phase. And it was a case of, well, would the utility just be enough? Seaman there nearly falling victim to another Emperor's Divide, but thankfully for him can just walk away. It just felt like that wrestle for the mid lane control as we were trading ults every single time Kanga were trading up.
It also felt like Direwolves did clear the wave, so they took the first nice step towards that happening. But then they just chucked a Renata ult to see if they could get control of the river instead of playing slower. They didn't play for vision, they played to force their way in.
Yeah.
But their composition is Poppy and Renata. They can't force their way in. It's really hard to do. No vision. The Foreigner, no health.
Yeah, he doesn't want any more of that one. Foreigner has certainly humbled him for a second there. Zoranus was making the great trek upwards. Does have the Unleashed teleport, but decides to go back to base because he needed some health anyway. He's now got a stopwatch. That's worth noting if he was to try and make a huge play like we just saw from Fido and Liv then.
And Summoner Spells is a big deal here, right? No flashes for a lot of people. Poltron
Oh no.
has found him.
Foreigner's been caught lacking and just spent way too much time inside this Baron pit. Question now becomes, do they do it?
Fido has a wide flank, is unspotted, has been left unchecked. Bulldog doesn't want to walk further in. If they get distracted, Liv is close to Meganar here as well.
Just so dangerous, Rusty. This feels like an absolute team wipe.
Look at
if I've
Liv.
ever seen it in John. He's been charmed mid-air and hostile takeover. He couldn't play the game, but certainly Limes can. That's the dream. The wombo combo of both Fido and Limes utilizing their range say, don't ever disrespect
Zoranus.
us by doing that, Baron. Fido finds a triple and Zoranus answers back by at least taking 2.
I mean, that was really one-sided in favor of Kanga without a jungler until Zoranus diff comes up a little bit too strong. Maximizes his damage output, makes sure he takes 2 on the way out. Direwolves still fighting in this game. But Kanga, they had all of the information they needed. Direwolves, again, they stick themselves in the pit, but Lived hits Mega. They put everything onto him, and then you forget about the Misfortune, just finds the perfect angle with no ability to stop. Remember, like we said from Draft Skimmy, Direwolves don't have tools to immediately stop a Misfortune from ulting. They have slow wind-up abilities. You are going to get waves of that bullet time off. You can't ask for much more. And Fido was left to freely hit that entire time. Has picked up a book and already has 10 pages.
He's very happy, certainly, with how this game is going. The polar opposite to Liv to what? He got stunned, charmed, and then made berserk as well. All the CC layered together quite nicely to ensure that that Mega could not find its mark. But it opened the floodgates to allow the rest of the team to shine instead. Zoran still with the most gold in the game. And maybe a shining beacon, a ray of hope for the Direwolves fans.
Certainly is a point of power. In saying that for Kanga, I feel like they're able to acknowledge that, and they don't always have to play the game with him around. They're going to hit this Baron. Ward will spot Fido walking through here, so they can infer pretty quickly the Baron is being done if Fido doesn't show himself mid. So you'll see Direwolves now move up towards this area. See if they can stop this from being done. Remember, Foreigner is squishy, and without Benby there to shield him, he is going to be taken extremely low. They cannot stay.
Oh, that really hurts for Kanga. They would have loved to sneak that one in. The positioning was perfect for them. Direwolves were going to be slow to respond. Zonas had to rotate from bot to top.
With this Mega, I feel like he might still hunt for the angle.
He's got flash as well.
He's found one angle.
Yeah, he's just going to go for the flank onto Zoranis and say we need to remove this man quickly. He's still got the Zonias, and he'll have a flash as well, but can just bop and block his way out of harm.
Meanwhile, top lane.
Having disengaged away from the Baron, they'll just sneak themselves in a cheeky tier 1, smite for some HP, and say, well, we're just going to trade out turrets.
Yeah, you
Bullet time ignores that one. There's the full-on charge into the wall, but I think Poltron just dies for this. They can't answer back. They committed. They ran straight through with a hostile takeover, and I mean, Kanga just straight winning.
Yeah, they've also taken a second turret top, continuing to fight in mid lane. Lived is hunting.
Just going to run them down. You can't escape. He's got a Trinity Force. He's got the moves. Dire situation really here.
They're going to get a red buff as well on the disengage. Baron probably not going to be looked at. It may well be done just given that Poltron is gone. And I think the fact that Lulu is there to shield Foreigner means that they're not going to take much damage from this one. Lived are going to lose his Mega. This should just be Baron confirmed actually now. As Direwolves are going to put themselves on the bottom side of the map instead. They're going to try and take themselves the Drake, extend this game, protract their opportunities. Direwolves suffering from an inability to engage massively. We just mentioned prior with some other teams today, is Poppy good for you? If you're the only engage on your team as a play style, not just as a champion, and you're really starting to see the makings of that, especially trying to go on Limas with both summoner spells up like that.
It just feels like there's so much pressure on Poltron to find the angles, to find the moments to say, okay, right, we can all now layer on through and try and take him out, but a simple cleanse flash and the entire play just dissipates. Let's see, though, if Direwolves can remove at least one Baron buff.
This will be a very drawn-out kill attempt. There is a force. He just jumped.
He just jumped on in.
Permission granted.
Kanga are pushing mid as a contingency. He will be the straggler, but it'll take a little bit of time. He's got a force of nature, so he can shrug off a lot of this damage.
He's too tanky.
They would have to dive the turret to make this one happen. It's going to take a while, but it will finally happen.
Meanwhile,
Kanga
winning
just
the
say,
game.
we'll just win. Encore goes out, and that will be it. But they've taken a mid inhibitor.
Yeah, mid inhibitor and the ability to rotate towards the topside jungle. What Direwolves now have is some time to work with without Lived on the board. 30 seconds missing a piece here is Kanga. But still, it is Kanga with all of their ultimates on the 4 members strong. And you can see the confidence coming out of these players. They're brimming to the lid with it. They could take a fight. Flashes available for Fido, but not Limas. If there's anyone that has to be careful, it is this Misfortune.
Oh, Fido's being tagged. He's gone golden. Poltron's is dead. He's just gone. The play just does not exist. And here I am thinking Zoranis with Zonias and a flash might have a moment to try and be a hero from laning phase into a late game clutch team fight down 6,000 gold. But
Teleport.
The tanks just don't exist.
Lived coming through. Direwolves, they're looking for an engage angle. Zoranis has the ultimate, has flash Q available.
All the time, just out of range. Zoranis is going to make them go to sleep with that lullaby. Doesn't have to use the flash just yet until the very last moment. Cops a shield at the very end there. Dante's just dead. He's surviving a little bit longer before it goes in for the chomp. Look, Kanga, they just want to end this game. Second inhibitor is theirs for the taking. They've already got supers to play through in mid. And with the respawn timers not being kind to them, with Dante being down for 30 seconds, Liv jumps in with one more Gnar charge. He locks you against the wall, but he falls on down in the process. Kanga alone. Direwolves are mounting the defense. 2 kills so far for Seaman. He's found the shutdown. Zoranus with the bailout's got a lot of movement speed. And if he can tag one member with that swirl seed, might be feeling good about his chances.
How about
what
Fido?
a turnaround, Rusty. Fido's, he's just saying, why are you chasing?
Fido's decided you cannot have my jungler. I will instead take all of you. Kanga, they are going to look towards bot, go for the inner turret. They're not going to be able to end the game, but they've got enough minions down here to secure a structure and perhaps the reset in order for the blinking health bars of Kanga. Fido stands and delivers 7-0, too strong. And you've seen once again Poltron looking for these engages that just aren't real, and Fido prepared to weather them. Every single time Poltron has tried, he's been bested, and he just doesn't have a team that can follow. Again, they're so slow, not as players, but as champions, on the uptake on any kind of engage attempt. But I don't think a Poppy can go first. You need Kanga to come towards you, but they have too much range in their composition. I said this from draft. I still would rather be Kanga 99 times out of 100.
Just feels like at every single hurdle, they've matched them. You've drafted the Poppy, we respond with the Trundle, we lock in the Azir, we're happy with that. 5th pick, Seraphine. We thought this was all going to be about the mid jungle, and certainly from a Kanga standpoint, that has been a perfect game so far here for Fido on that characteristic Azir. 24 stacks on that Magi's. 30 minutes in, it's the final inhib.
Yeah, there's the last inhibitor. No flash there from Zoran. There's no flash on Dante, means that it's definitely got a target on his head. Lived is going to try and proc this Mega Gnar and threaten Fido's damage right now. He's full build. He's one Magi stack off the absolute full build that he could aim for, bar an Elixir. But as it stands, he just gets to actually pelt out damage from just the rough poke that comes across occasionally when he presses Q like that. That adds up really fast. And Direwolves are the ones stuck suffering. Look at Lived on the flank here as well. It's do or die for Direwolves.
Such a rough spot to be in because Direwolves need to fight before those superstars start to come in through mid and top. They just can't find it. Gale falls out in the bullet time. Fido jumps across the wall and says, how do you do? That's an 8th kill of this game. He really is well and truly legendary in the final game here of week 8. And what an important game to make it happen. Liv once again jumps into action and spoon feeds his AD carry another kill. Encore is shrugged off by that stasis effect. And really, Direwolves' chances of any kind of comeback in this game have absolutely been shredded. A monumental week here. It's a perfect 2-0. And a game that gives them head-to-head against Kanga, or against Direwolves, and now against Peace.
And finishing with a 10-0 scoreline is the mid laner of Kanga. Little pop-off there from the team. You can see how excited they are. It feels do or die. Every single game that Kanga play feels do or die. This gives them head-to-head against the Direwolves. They have head-to-head, and currently, as a result of that win, should be 5th place in the standings. And now they present themselves as the team to beat if you want to make playoffs.
Look at me now, I suppose is what Kanga is saying. They've made a fair few changes across this entire split, but if we're talking about a power arc, it's just continued to go up and up as the weeks have gone by.
Bit of that. Now they've got head-to-head against 2 of the top 5 teams as well. That's getting real dangerous. Now they're going to be tied with Peace as well. You were talking about that in the pre-match, and now it's become reality. So crazy game coming through. Little bit of a diffy in the driffy, you reckon? Or was it just like I don't know. We felt like out in the green room that Seaman, when he's playing champs that just don't have mobility, it feels like he just doesn't have the impact that you kind of expect from him, right?
It just felt like, for me, top lane was the only winning lane that worked in favor of Direwolves. In mid lane, it was just Fido getting to scale for free, which is always a dicey situation. And in bot lane, the misfortune Lulu completely nullified the early rotation into an Aphelios and Renata. So you're really banking on, Poltron pulling a Hail Mary, and you just saw what happened to him when he jumped in.
Poltron had a nuts early game, like real good ganks, real good setups for a lot of those early kills, but then look, points like this as well. Shout out to Foreigner for the mind control purposeful int at the Baron to then bait the 4v5 team fight to then allow all of Direwolves to bunch up and die to an MF ult. I think that was the greatest strat I've seen all night.
And this is probably the greatest game we've seen from Fido so far on that Azir. I think Azir and MF actually combo really nicely into what what Direwolves has actually drafted. We see that the Seraphine is more of a utility mid laner where the main carry is Dante. But that champion only works if you are able to walk forwards. and you are able to DPS. But if we look at Kanga's comp, we have an Azir, MF, and he's been just getting shredded every single time he even tries to attempt to do anything. So it was quite, I think, like Rusty said, it really just depended on draft. But Fido did do that really, really sick play in mid lane where he got, I believe it was like a 3-man ulti pushed back, where it kind of turned the game around. And Benvi is just so excited because, yes, I loved his Lulu. He was roaming everywhere, getting stuff done on the map. He even did more damage than Foreigner, so congrats.
Just Trundle thinks so.
Does him
Trundle
dirty, really did him dirty there. But at the same time, as you mentioned, great roaming, great supporting, great vision control, all coming through from Benvi. So a great addition to the team, turns into 2 wins in must-win games, heavy pressure on his shoulders.
Also the choice of Mikhail's to make sure that your Azir who doesn't have cleanse is safe and can build aggressive scaling, DPS items, little things like that add up to be a great deal. Especially against the composition of Direwolves, right? Renata's ult can be self-cancelled with a good Mikhail's timing, even placing it on yourself. So there's a lot of utility there. I think that, first of all, I think that Kanga did outdraft them. I just think that Direwolves draft is really finesse-based and difficult to execute.
Okay.
And we've said this a million times, but in Oath, it's not always going to be winning to have the finesse comp. Sometimes it is better to just be better at going forwards. And that is quite simply what I think Kanga have, as well as winning lanes, as well as free scaling. For mid, and then lived while it was a nightmare. Lilia doesn't necessarily scale for damage, but still did well.
I think Seraphine's quite a bait pick in some instances because if you do pick Seraphine into a scaling champion, we've seen it on ADC, we've seen it in mid lane, where the other person just gets to scale for free, where into the late game you can't make up for that damage as a Seraphine because you are building utility, and unless you win those mid-game skirmishes, right? So
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest question mark for us, right? Because Direwolves were the only team that never banned it or played it, the Seraphine, before. So you're thinking, it's just not going to be utilized. But then final 5th pick, crazy.
Guess what? I got the man that we can ask this question to. Fido, we have him on the line. First off, big congratulations as you have a big sip of your bloody big mug you got there. Not your head, I'm talking about the cup. Also, mid. So what's going on? That Seraphine matchup with Azir, obviously you're an Azir bloody fiend and you're so damn good on it. Did you enjoy that matchup because it just allowed you to scale?
Yeah, look, it was actually harder than I thought because you really just can't get prio. Like, you're just kind of chilling, and if you try to harass the Seraphine instead of just matching shove, you just lose CS on the tower. I may be a bit upset, but I think this is 2 times in a row where Direwolves' mid laner, who only plays assassins, picks a mage and just kind of exists. So I think it's really good for us whenever he plays a mage.
it seems like Kanga has already figured out Direwolves through and through. But let's talk about those team fights that we saw in the mid to late game, where we did see some dragging back and forth from both of the teams, where you guys came out on top. So tell me how these team fights were played out going into them.
I think my team is just the best. My team keeps telling me I'm faker, and so if somebody tells you something long enough, you start to believe it. So I think at some point I just started believing that I'm faker, and we won.
Well, you made very calculated, aggressive plays that certainly are contenders for plays of the day. That mid lane, I think it was like triple knockback you got with your ult as well towards the mid game. That was so stellar to watch. I think it was like Lived. He jumped in, tried to get the ult. I think that didn't work, which kind of might have given Direwolves like a false sense of security. And then you're there as well. You just had so many like angles to make those engages happen. Now, that was one of the many must-win games out of the way. You've got 4 more big must-win games to keep this ball rolling. And I think it's Peace who's probably going to be the team. You guys are actually playing for that 5th position. Do you think you have what it takes to keep up with them? Because you still have Chiefs to play and Peace don't.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to believe in the Kanga dream run to LAN. That's the storyline, and we're gonna see it through.
Hopefully we do get to see you at LAN Fighter. I'm sure we all want to meet Faker himself. And hopefully you have a good night's rest, and we will see you next week.
Okay, bye guys.
Catch ya. Love Fido. He's just so happy. And look, it's great when people around you pump you up. They're not, knocking you down saying, oh, you did this wrong, you could be better. They're just like, you're faker. Keep doing what you're doing. And it's working. Kanga will win it.
Let's go, King.
Yeah, you love to see a team really hype and support every sort of win. And I just think it was such a great game where, Lived would soak every single ult just so, Fido could flourish, right? He copped every single ult to say that you jump in.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you, King. My time to shine. And multi-man kills every single time. 10-0.
Did he set Fido up for the Dare MVP?
Fido's the MVP for me.
Yep.
Yes.
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 Yes. Beautiful.
Yes.
Their MVP for the final game of the day was the big man Fido,
He just
who
doesn't
never
want them,
wants
though.
it.
He just doesn't want them.
Never
a humble
wants them.
king.
He'll take the compliments from his teammates, but he doesn't want the Dare MVP.
Even Faker knows.
Unfortunately, 10-0-6, 72% KP with a third of the team's damage. You just have to take it, unfortunately, Fido. So I hope you enjoy it. He'd be right up there now in terms of those Dare MVPs because he's got 2 already this week, and I just got told he is tied with Dapoon and Kisei. So second at the moment. Not quite at the top. I'm pretty sure we got Ali at the top. It has to be with a big performance this week.
Probably Ali at the top, yeah. But I mean,
is, it is.
Fido's been playing very well lately. Has been most of the split. There was this drop off in the middle where we're like, what happened to Fido? But back with a vengeance this week, to say the least. Has got the team supporting him and, of course, gassing him up in team comms. But he's been playing really well and does deserve the compliments and praises.
Very true indeed. Now, look, play of the day discussion. Any crazy, memorable ones other than the ones that just happened that game?
Nah, the ones that happened.
Every
that
is
game.
their ult. Every is their ult.
The one at the Baron Pit, 4v5. Surely, if it's not that one.
Well, I'm telling you, it's not that one.
Not true.
Rick.
Maybe in the one that we were talking
Recount.
about in the interview. Recount. Either way, look, we can
It's
look at
PG
yours.
versus order,
It'll
isn't
be
it?
in the highlights next week, Rusty. So everyone at
I want a
home can
Claire
look at it then.
montage.
Yes.
Let's have a look at the play of the day.
Claire, league
It
director
was
time.
in mid when Lived gave that false sense of security. Have a look at it again. Lemus, he's already burnt his ult, chunking those health bars. There's Lived with the ult that didn't go as well as intended. But look, Direwolves group up, and here is the angle Fido was looking for. Ready? 3, 2, 1. He's jumping in. He's ulting. He's sending him right back.
Fido.
What a bloody engage
What was
at that
that?
mid-fight.
What was that, Faker?
And damage bloody everywhere.
Chaos everywhere, especially that fight. We didn't know who was going to come out on top, but Fido
here
just
we
pulled
go.
the most surprising ult out of nothing and then made this a winning game overall. I believe he also had 25 stacks at the very end as a Zir, so it's just a menace on this champion, and teams should look out for him.
See ya.
So what was the difference between this one and the one you're talking about, Rusty?
The Baron fight.
The Baron fight was a 4v5 that wasn't as montagey. But there was a really big Limas ult. It was a cool fight because it was like flanks on 3 angles collapsing into the pit. It's like,
Yeah.
But that
And
one
then
was just cool.
Zoranus got like a sneaky double kill at the very end,
Yeah,
right?
he did, yeah.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
In saying
Oh,
that,
yeah,
I'm
off
sure
the back
Liv
of
watches that highlight and he's like, I'm so sad, man. Like, Liv watches that whole montage. He's like, but like literally one auto on a minion before I hop and I ult them all. And he'll
That
just
could
be
have
kicking
been
himself.
me.
Yeah.
You can't have it all.
But now
you
it's
can't
Fido.
have it all, except for Chiefs, who are at the top of the leaderboard. Let's bring that up and have a quick look at the end of week 8. These weeks are going so fast. Couple more.
Wow.
And we're all the way at bloody playoffs,
Look at
all the way at
tyres.
DreamHack. 3-way ties. You
Wow,
guys
wow.
loved them, so we brought them back. Direwolves, Pensinet, and Order all there on 10-7. 17 games deep, and Chiefs with a 7 bloody game lead. Ridiculous scenes here in the LCO delivered by Menulog. Peace and Kanga tied at 5th, but Kanga, it looks like here that they're below, but they're actually above Peace because they do have that head-to-head after yesterday's games. It's crazy to think about. And Mammoth, 5-12. I believe they are now out of that running for the playoffs as well.
4 games left.
Oh, not
They're
quite
only 3
yet.
behind 5th.
3 behind 5th.
They beat Peace, so they're still
They
in. They're
need
still
the
in.
people above them to lose,
Yeah.
but they are still in playoffs contention, I believe, as it
It's-
stands.
So yeah, it's as Refury put it, it was like a
kind of out of their
near
control.
impossible, but still possible.
Yes.
Very low probability. Let's have a look at next week's games. Week 9, day 1. What's on the some
My
good stuff.
goodness.
Some real
Stacked.
good stuff here. Oh, I am
This goes
so
hard.
Can we fast forward the next couple of days because this is a good day.
Tomorrow.
This is a great day.
That's what Kitty said, right? We're doing it all
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Week 9, day 1, go hard.
I will be seeing Tapoon tomorrow.
Love it. You did say you were going up to Brizzy. Cool. 6 p.m. Chiefs and Pensinet. I cannot wait for that one. Mammoth Direwolves, another absolute banger with Mammoth playing out of their
Must wins.
minds. Must wins. Oh, it's just narratively so much nicer. Peace and Order. Who knows what's going to go on there. And Kanga, another must win against Gravitas. But this is where Gravitas start to do the creative things. Start to get a little bit fancy with stuff. So Kanga, if they take this matchup lightly, they could lose one that they need.
They
Hard to
definitely
prepare for,
could,
isn't it?
yeah.
Like, when you think about it, now you've got to deal with Gravitas,
Ooh.
not knowing what they're going to do.
Yeah.
How do you prepare? How do you prepare?
Just play your comfort champs. Do what we
Just
saw
hit
this
the
game.
Nexus.
It's just hit the Nexus.
hit the Nexus.
Just be told you're faker another 10 times.
True. I'm sure that's all we're going to hear. Well, that's all Fido's going to hear. If they're just like constantly like, if you play like that, if we tell you you're faker, we're just going to tell you you're faker every single day. King. Keep it going. Either way, that's it for week 8. Any final words before we wrap things up? Put a bloody bow on it.
Leviosa.
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 On that note, before Skimmy can
Sa.
go down a crazy hole like he has every other bloody day.
Lisa.
Thank you all
Kaisa.
for watching. Why have I done this? Thank you all
just
for watching.
end the
I
show.
love you all.
Oh, you
I'll
a
see you
wizard,
in week
Harry.
9. See you on Monday. I hope you had as much
Stop
fun
it,
as
Rob.
I did here on the LCO, delivered by Menulog. Yep.
Bye.
Yep.
As always.
He's just kicked them into his entire team, but the rest of the Mammoth are there to
Reinforcements
try
are
and back
here.
them up. They're going to slam Papyrus up against that one. Looking for the kill, they jump on in. Lamb's fight is there. Hostile takeover getting them low.
Seraphine ult
That's
hits
the
all.
encore. Everybody's charmed by the might of Mammoth. And that's 3 members falling in an absolute instancy and vulnerability clips. They disappear. And look, go for a steal again. He's jumped on and it's been stolen by the Dragon. The splash damage. We've run back the clock months ago when that was the go-to play. And that's another stun and another support player removed. The seismic shove to try and buy some time, but Yuri's got one target in mind. Remove this Aphelios. Look at the dazzle. Tarek putting in work, linking up 1 and 2, but that's what Aatrox can do. You're just going to get run on down. He's got the Trinity Force fully stacked up. He's got the Gnar, he's got the Mega, and he's got you down for 38 seconds. Now looking for a second as Aladoric is here to try and make this one a little bit easier for him to try and find those kills. In towards the Tribush. It's a 2v3, a 3-man quickness. Everybody's charmed by just the sheer charisma of the Chiefs. It's a double so far for Tapoon, but the rest of the team come across and want in on the action, but it's that man again, the Korean Demon.
They get distracted. Liv this close to Mega Gnar here as well.
This is so dangerous, Rusty. This feels like an absolute team wipe.
Look at
I've
Liv.
never seen it in jumps. He's been charmed mid-air and hostile takeover. He couldn't play the game, but certainly Limas can. That's the dream. The wombo combo of both Fido and Limas utilizing their range state. Don't ever disrespect us by doing that.
Hey, look, menu pong.
LCO.gg/DreamHack if you want to get those tickets. Kitty, have you got yours?
No, Mac, where can I get my tickets?
LCO.gg/DreamHack. Just in
Thank
case
you,
you
Mac.
missed it in the first
Where do I get it
time.
back?
I've got my ticket now. Thank you, Mac.
DreamHack,
Thank you,
guys.
Mac.
Now, look,